This is Chaplain Tyler, and you're watching this on You Got This with Tyler. Today I'm going to be talking about the green personality. Green. I have been talking about the other main personality types, those being gold and orange, which are opposites, blue, and now the opposite of blue, which is green. But before I do that, just want to remind everybody, one of us has all four basic colors in our personality to one degree or another. And if you watch this video and you say, wow, this is so like me, this is great, awesome, then you've been able to discover a little bit more about yourself and understand a bit more of your own values and what makes you tick. If you watch this video and you say, wow, this is nothing like me and I can't imagine this, then that's also great, because it tells you what you're not, and it also, I guarantee that you know people who are like this and who hold these values and characteristics. And by watching this video, you're going to be able to understand a lot more of how to work with them and what they are looking for in terms of their values and characteristics. So, with that out of the way, let's get to it. So green comprises about 12% of the population. Now again, there's a lot more that are high green, but to lead with green is the unusual part. Most of us lead with life structure colors, either orange or gold. But to lead with green as your first and primary color is unusual. That's, like I said, about 12% of the population. Now, what do somebody who is strong in green, what are their core values? Well, competency is first, and intelligence. Intelligence. If blue leads with their heart, green lead with their mind. They are logical, they're abstract thinkers, they're analytical, they're conceptual, they have ideas, they love things like technology and progress and innovation. Again, it's all about using their minds and finding competency, especially intellectual competency. They can be somewhat perfectionistic, and that can be both a wonderful thing to strive for, but it can also mean that somebody who's green is a little less willing to take action, because if they can't be perfect, they don't want to do it. So they have a lot of ideas and plans and things that they want to get done. They're great visionaries, but getting it actually done and finished is difficult. For them, work is play. Work is play. They can get lost in work. And people who are in a relationship with somebody who is green have to understand that their job is most likely the place, and maybe a hobby or two, or three or four or five. Work is most likely the place where they can express themselves and find their meaning and purpose. And that's a big deal. So they can get lost at work. And they don't mean to. It just happens because they're focused on work. People who are strong in green, they just hate repeating themselves. Again, intellectual competency in others means that you're going to remember what they've said. And if you respect them, you're going to listen. Now, this characteristic of not wanting to repeat themselves can be a bit problematic in relationships, especially if they're in a relationship with somebody who's blue. And the reason for that is that when they express an emotion, and not all green people like to express emotion. When they express emotion, it's not that they don't feel. They feel very deeply, but they don't like staying and sitting in the emotion. That just doesn't work for them. So, as an example, let's say that they say to their significant other, "I love you." Great. Well, the blue Someone who's strong in blue needs to hear that often. They need to hear they're special, unique, and authentic, and precious to them. Somebody who's green, it's not that they don't feel, it's that they don't want to repeat it. And so when somebody who's blue comes to them and says, "You don't tell me you love me. You don't love me. You don't do this. You don't do that. You don't say this. You don't say that." The green person looks at them with somewhat of a perplexed expression and says, "Well, I told you I loved you." That state exists until further notice. And they mean it. It's not that they don't love. It's that they don't always see the need to express that. And again, repetition is part of that. Or not wanting to repeat themselves is part of that. Now, I have a couple of examples. More than any other color, there are some characters from TV and movies that are absolutely 100% green. For those that are of a generation that know the show and the movies of Star Trek, the quintessential green person, you can probably already imagine, is Spock. Feels very deeply, but is driven by logic. That's a green. For those that don't know Star Trek and have watched a show called The Big Bang Theory, a great example of somebody who's green is Sheldon. That's what a green is. A lot of people who are strong in green tend not to want to stay in the mainstream because they're always searching for something more. They like complexity. They like outside the box thinking. So these are the people who tend to use their minds in creative ways. A lot of what our society calls nerds are green. And a lot of the people who are called metalheads. Now, a metalhead is somebody who likes heavy metal. Heavy metal is not the mainstream. And heavy metal is a very complicated form of music. Different types of music, of course, but it's very complicated, usually going into different time signature changes, different kinds of words and complex rhythm patterns and things like that. Green, a lot of people who are strong in green are drawn to that kind of thing. As I mentioned, somebody who's strong in green may have some trouble taking action, not just because they're perfectionistic, although that's a big part of it. It's that they analyze everything so much that it can take a long time to come up with all the options and all the consequences of those decisions. And so the person who's strong in green just ends up thinking about what they want to do, and coming up with all different kinds of scenarios and tweaks. And there's one man I know that's been working on an invention for about 15 years. And every time he gets close to doing something good with it and making it actually patentable, he comes up with another tweak. Oh, what about this? What about that? Oh, there's this. I need it to be perfect before I get it to the patent office. And that's just how it works for somebody who's green. Somebody who's green, strong in green, they seek knowledge and understanding. That's what they are always looking for. By nature, they're analytical, they're global, and they're conceptual. Somebody who's strong in green tends to live their lives by their own standard. Again, they're not in the mainstream. They don't go to that. So they come up with their own set of ethics, morals, and regulations, and hold to that. They are calm, cool, and collected. That's what they are. They're calm, cool, and collected. Because they're very logical, they need to have explanations and answers. That's a big deal for them. If they don't get explanations about why they need to do something and answers to their questions, it bugs them a lot. They're inventive. They love to invent and come up with new ideas and systems and theories and models and frameworks and all sorts of things. That's where their creativity comes in. They value intelligence, insight, fairness, and justice. Why? Because it makes sense. Justice and fairness makes sense to them. They are abstract thinkers, like I said. They're hypothetical, and they're investigative. These are the people who will search for an answer and will keep going until they get it. They're like bloodhounds on that. It is amazing. They're natural nonconformists. They're visionaries, and they're problem solvers. Now, what does somebody who's strong in green, what do they dream of? What do they want to have in this life? They seek truth. They want perfection. And they want accuracy. One way to think about it is that they want to make sure that everything is clear and concise. That's what matters to them. What does somebody who's strong in green, what do they value in themselves and in others? It's about the mind. It is about using the mind in a very competent way. So they like questions and they like answers. They like intelligence. They're drawn to that. Good explanations of things that make sense, and logic. If it isn't logical, they don't like it. Now, what does somebody who is strong in green tend to dislike? They don't like injustice and unfairness. And that doesn't make sense. That just doesn't work for them. A lack of intellectual competency. Now, I'm not saying that all people who are green are intelligent. And I'm not saying anybody who's intelligent has to be green. There are so many unbelievably ultra-intelligent people who are not green. Green does not mean that you are intelligent. It means that you tend to lead with your mind and use your mind. That's why they don't, to put it bluntly, they don't like stupidity. It just doesn't work for them. They will not suffer the fool. And they do not like repetition. I've said it once. I don't need to say it again. What do people who are strong in green foster and promote? They love inventions and innovation, technology, things that are new, that are coming, things to do with space, things to do with science and research. They love that. And they will foster and promote competency. What do people who are strong in green, what do they respect? Knowledge. Knowledge and capability. If you have good knowledge on a topic or a variety of topics, and you're capable and competent is another way to put it. If you are that, then you're okay in somebody who's high in green. Now, what are some of the occupations that tend to draw people who are green? Again, because it's about the application of the mind. Any role or job where they get to be visionaries or investigative and use their minds to solve problems, that's where they're drawn. So things like scientists and researchers, a lot of medical doctors are also quite green. Mathematicians, architects, engineers, a lot of university professors are also green. It's a lot different going from grade school to a post-secondary institution. And working in a post-secondary institution requires different kinds of competencies. And so a lot of the professors there tend to be more green than other teachers would be. Another place that people who are strong in green really do well are philosophers and the theologians, the people who can think outside the box, who can come up with and think conceptually and analytically about a variety of topics. That is where they flourish. Now, regarding managers, if most managers tend to be gold because they have to have the organizational and administrative skill, most decision makers are green. And the reason for that is because they have to base their decision making on excellent analysis and logic. And that's why they're drawn to those situations and those roles. The other reason is that a green is somebody who is very visionary. They look at things that could be and should be, and then they bring that vision to the rest of the group. And then it's the group that has to make it happen. That's how the green works. It's without the green and what they bring to the table, our society would not be anything close to what it is now, especially in terms of the technology and the standard of living we have. So much of our present day society has been formed by the people strong in green. And without green, we don't get anywhere. We just don't. We are stagnant. We sit, and I'm not going to say that we're back in the dark ages. Definitely in trouble, because we're going to be in a place where the inventions and all those kinds of things just aren't happening. So if you have watched this video and you have realized that at least in part you have some strong green tendencies, that's awesome. And I'm very glad that you stopped by to watch. May your intellectual curiosity have been piqued, and I'm not going to say anything more than you got this. Enough said. This is Chaplain Tyler, and you're watching this video and you got this with Tyler. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.